Hi muses! I've been on in a while, feeling a little out of touch, but I've also really just been on Instagram as well. So if you're not on Instagram and connected with me there, definitely come over and join me and say hi. All right, today, let me just get all my notes as I sit on my bed. Welcome. We're going to talk about very quickly what I feel like are elements that we can look at when you want to create a space that feels like home. And for me, home is a holistic point of view. It's more than just, your home is where your heart is. I think it's a bit bigger than that. But having a space that is a space that allows your full expression, that encourages it, that contains it, that holds that space for you, that inspires you, and really feels like a space of your full expression, and for you and for all the people that live in that space. So if you don't know me, hi, I'm Brenda Mangala. Welcome to my space. I'm an artist, a painter. I did that, as well as a mentor for muses. I inspire ambitious spiritual creatives just like you. That's how you came into my space. Nothing happened by accident. It's always a divine, happy accident, I believe in. And just like you, to live a life of joyful purpose. I believe that means full expression, and when you allow yourself to live that life of full expression, it allows you to create that life of joyful purpose. And we're in connection with your creativity. I believe that creativity is the source and the anchor of it. It's going to be the seed to help you blossom into whatever your next chapter is in your creative work. And for me, creativity is about expression, and full expression is what I love having conversations around. So welcome to this space. And today I just want to give you some ideas, some prompts, some inspiration to really look at your space mindfully and intentionally, because I know how easy it is to just live in a space, because I've done that for almost a decade, and just thinking that you're gonna do something about it, but that delay just becomes part of your everyday, and then you kind of put up with it, and then you turn around and you're like, all that time has passed, and why have I not been intentional about crafting and curating and using the power that I have to mindfully curate and create the space that I live in when I live in it, for so much of my life, and underestimating how much power your environment has on your mindset, on your moods, on the atmosphere that you're crafting for not just yourself and your soul and for your family and your children, but also for your ability to be able to show up and live that life of full expression, and to do the work that you're meant to do, to follow your passions, to find that creativity, to really feel connected to your heart, soul, spirituality. Yes. So if you're feeling a little like, there's just so much and it's overwhelming and I haven't thought about it, and a little bit of guilt and shame, I totally feel you. I've been there. I totally understand. But know that there is no time like the present. It's never too late. You can just take the next baby step today by being mindful and conscious and intentional. So I like to look at a space like your home, right? We're like looking at just that phrase, home is where the heart is. And for me, that is more than just the people you love. It's not just a space to hold all the things that you love, like your favorite painting or your favorite photo of your family. It is, I like to look at it holistically. And when I talk about holistically, I like to think of it as heart, soul, mind, and body. That's all the things. And in terms of full expression, this is where we can look at those 4 categories. And then that, if you kind of expand it out, how you look at those 4 categories will cover holistically. It is more, your home is going to be more than just a space to sleep, eat, and hold your clothes and your stuff, right? It can be a container and a space for your spiritual health and relationship and cultivating that, for your mind and learning and personal growth and connection in intellectual stimulating, whatever it is, like learning with your children, with your significant other, your spouse, with your friends, when you're having conversations around the dinner table. We love that kind of stuff, like when you're having coffee chats with people, and we, going to parties, that feeling of connection can be held in your home. It is a space where you can connect with memories and remember where you once were, and celebrate where you are now, and celebrate where you're going to be and working towards. It's a space where you can feel rested, both physically as well as mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and rested and rejuvenated, and a space where you can really kind of reconnect and refresh everything that makes you who you are, and a space of meaning and personal growth, and really the next chapter of your soul evolution, right? These like big fancy words for really just the stuff that we're always constantly looking for. We're looking for meaning, we're looking for connection, we're looking for personal growth and spiritual growth, and physical, hopefully, not growth as in bigness, but like, you know, health and vitality, and to feel vibrant and joyful, right? Joyful purpose. That's what I'm all about. And so a space can be all of those things. So look at these things. All right. So whether you're watching the replay or you're watching with me live, hi, definitely comment below what, from a scale of 1 to 10, how does your space feel in terms of being a reflection of your full self-expression? Or it's a good, like, from 1 as in like totally crap, it just feels like another, you know, cookie cutter house, so it feels like a hospital, or maybe like a Turkish prison, and 10 being like it is the ultimate space that is a true reflection of the passions, interests, purposes, and playfulness and personalities of the people who live in it. Like, rate yourself if you're looking around from 1 to 10. Where does that sit? Right? I'll give me 2 seconds. I'll look at my notes. And let me know in the comments below, especially if you're watching a replay. Of course, if you're watching a replay, make sure you comment #YayReplay, so that not only does it lets me know that you've been watching it, it boosts this video so that more people who need this to know and to encourage that, and give yourself permission that you can craft your home intentionally in baby steps. You don't need to pay for a designer, or it needs to be like a magazine kind of Pinterest worthy space. It just needs to be a space that is more than just a space to hold your stuff and to sleep, but it can be almost a spiritual container for your full expression. I don't know any other words to say that. But how do we do that? All right. Comment below your number, and then really ask yourself that question of how can you lift that number higher? Like, are you satisfied with that number? And if not, hopefully, because we always like to have more full expression, there's no such thing as too much, especially when it's your own home. How can you improve that? I have some of the answers. The 4 areas you can look at. All right, let's start with, this is the wrong notes, this one. Let's start with, we're talking about holistically. I like to look at things holistically, especially in a space. Home is more than just where your heart is. Let's look at heart, body, mind, and soul. Okay, let's start with heart. Looking at the spaces around you, your home, your bedroom, your living room, your dining room, your whatever it is, your office space. Looking at heart, and when I talk about heart, I'm thinking, you know, memories. I'm thinking things of your heart connections. How is your space a reflection? Does it express the memories that you want to keep, that gives you joy, pleasure, happiness? Does it remind you of who you value and love and want to be connected with, either actually talking to them or just memories of those who have died? And for me, it also means like connections to others. You know, maybe if you're thinking for you and your kind of spirituality, it's like your heart chakra, right? It's about like that connection and relationship. That's the word I was trying to think for. Relationship with others in the world. And so for me, I'm really big on photos of memories, of photos of the past. And because for me, heart stuff is about memories from the past, that also then reminds me of what I was hoping for in the future. Because that's, for me, it's a bigger, more holistic thing. So we're not staying in the past, but remembering that when we took that photo, what our hopes and dreams were. You know, I look at my photos of the first birthday, and now like my second child's having is turning 2 tomorrow, right? Looking at those photos and then remembering, in that photo might not be the best photo, maybe not everyone's looking, but just remembering what the hopes and dreams that I was setting at that time for today and for the future. And that, having that around me and celebrating it instead of being, you know, lost somewhere on my phone or in my computer, actually having it printed and put out because I want to celebrate that, but also reconnects me back to what those hopes and dreams are and whether or not I still want to keep them. This is how you maintain intentionality and conscious, mindful connection to your values, to your dreams and goals, to your intentions, to your purposes that you are pursuing. Right? We're not just going to float through life, and there are many others who are happy to just allow life to kind of push you around and you just go with whatever happens and just let it be as it is and accept things as they are. We are muses. We want to do our part to curate, to create, to craft an intentional, mindful life, so that we live our purposes and live that life of joyful purpose, not just like working hard just for the sake of working hard and being a martyr and being a victim, but actually finding that pleasure in our passion and our purpose and really being conscious creators of that. And so that comes with being intentional with the space that you create around you. And so we start with heart. I'm just starting with heart because that was just what's on my list. We start with heart. Look at that. What for you is an expression of your heart, right? So maybe that's your passions, maybe that's your memories and connections with family, like if what your values are. So I would look at your values and knowing what that is, and does your space reflect that? And what would that, and asking yourself, get out your journals, what would reflect my heart in my space that I can start with doing today? Right? It doesn't have to be like this big thing where you have to knock down walls and renovate and you know, get an interior designer in and to rearrange all the furniture. Like, what? Maybe it's just getting that photo printed and having it up and starting with that. Maybe it's about finally putting that hook in so that you can hang that painting that your child did that you've had framed for like 5 years and you just haven't had the chance to do it. Like, start small, but start intentionally, and then that will help you get the ball rolling. That's always my kind of go-to, because if I always think about the big picture of everything that I want to do, I'm going to get completely overwhelmed and I never get anything done. And then it's just so much easier to just wallow in self-pity and how everything is just too hard, and then you just kind of float through life again, instead of bringing that power back to myself, because I do have that power to actually be mindfully intentional, even if it looks like small, tiny, insignificant baby steps. All right, we're done heart. Let's do body. So we're talking about heart, mind, body, and soul, right? Let's do body, because I think that's just an easier, what we think of when we talk about creating a space, okay? Body is physicality. I think of like, what does your space look like from a physical point of view? Because we are physical beings, we live in this two-dimensional space, although we are more than that. You know, we have concepts of time and self and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. Again, we will cover that a bit later. Let's talk about body, physical stuff. So for me, this is like the clothes that you're going to have. Is it curated? Does it reflect you? The furniture that you sit on, right? Is it feeling that you want it to feel? So this was the other thing. I have my 4 categories when I look at holistically. Does your space looking at these 4 major categories, 4 major perspectives to look at your space holistically of full self-expression is heart, body, mind, soul. But another way within those heart, body, mind, souls, like I wanted to match them up nicely, but I realized that it all really depends on how you view your heart expression, how you view your physical expression, mind expression, soul expression, your spirituality, all those kind of things. But the other way, and again to look holistically, is to use your senses, because we live in this space, but we don't just live in this space physically. We also use all our senses because that's the kind of beings we are. And so looking at your full senses, that means your visual sense, your eyes, your listening audio sense, your ears, your touch. And this is where the physical body perspective comes in. Touch as in the clothes, as in the temperature of the space, touch and feel of it, what gives you goosebumps in a good way, making sure you have that around in your home. Touch, there is, I've already lost that, your taste, your mouth. And so mouth as in taste, so we'll talk about food. And for some people, food is very much a heart thing. And some of that for me is true, because family is a big value of mine, and in my family we connect over food and we celebrate over food. And so food is a part of it, even though I'm not the best chef in the world or cook ever, actually, but it is my kind of creative play. And so I make sure that even though I'm not the biggest cook in the world and I don't need the best kitchen in the world, I do know that my kitchen is my play space, and that it kind of needs to reflect that and work the way I like to work, especially when I am cooking for my children. And so it is more than just the physicality and body side of things. It does have a bit of a heart element in there. But for you, it might be more about memories and stuff with food and taste. And that, again, it could be a heart thing or a mind thing. I know it's getting confusing, but let's talk about the senses now, right? So we've done eyes, your ears, your touch, your mouth. And so mouth, again, it's not just taste, it's also for me talking, having a space in my home. That's why I always I work on my kitchen bench, although right now I'm in my bedroom. I work on my kitchen bench, but also when I have friends over, I like to sit around the kitchen bench, so then we talk over coffee in that way. And for me, that's a heart and soul connection. And so using those senses of being able to have a space where I can talk without it being too noisy, then the children are kind of playing in the living room. Does that make sense? Let me know. All the heart showers, if that makes sense. Touch, mouth, nose, smell. So for a lot of people, smells, and that comes from either cooking, but sometimes smells of perfume or the smell of fresh cut flowers, that brings up and evokes memories of what you value. Or it's a visual thing, because the smell makes you look at or reminds you to look at those flowers, and it stimulates and really helps you express the mind aspect of it. It's the giving yourself reminders of beauty, that you are deserving and worthy of having little indulgences like having fresh flowers in your life. So nose, and the sixth sense, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth sense is your intuition, in terms of there are things you can look at, there are things you can eat and smell and all that, but there's also that sense of, does it reflect and help you express your intuitive sense? Does it give you a space that feels right? This is when certain things, sometimes depending on how connected you are with your intuition, that kind of feels not right, or there's something that you love and you've kept for a long time. It's a good memory, but you know that you need to let it go now. It doesn't serve a function, and yes, you love the memory of it, but you've kind of moved on from that space, and that is the thing that's holding you back from letting go of something that's in the past so that you can move on in the future. And that really comes from your intuition. Does that make sense? And so this is where decluttering comes in, as more than just getting rid of stuff. It's about checking in with those senses and whether or not those things in your life, both clutter in terms of physical, which is where we're up to right now, physical body side of things, as well as the mental, emotional, spiritual side of things, right? Sometimes a physical clutter is a reflection of an internal mental clutter. And so therefore, when you look at the body perspective of that category of looking at the four, heart, mind, body, and soul, holistically, sometimes one will affect the other, obviously, because that's how you look at things holistically, because they all do affect each other, because those are the beings that we are. And I kind of love that and hate it, because sometimes it's why can't I just focus on clearing my space and everything will work out, but everything's kind of blended. But at the same time, sometimes it's a good thing. you know, when you're dealing with a hard emotional thing, spiritual thing, intuitive thing, sometimes just doing the simple act of physically clearing a space could actually help you clear that mental block that's been bugging you for months, weeks, years. So we have done heart, we've done body. Yeah, so looking at that physical body stuff. So this is when looking at your senses, looking at whether or not the stuff that feels right. Like if you always have a blanket that's always prickly, but you kind of put up with it because it's okay. No, it's not okay. This is the time to kind of go, can you get rid of it? Because it affects your touch and then it kind of makes you cringe all the time. Your space should be, allows you to have full expression, and that means not having to like flinch or cringe or like recoil it like slightly, even if it's just a small thing and you feel like you can put up with it, because you know we're used to just putting up with the dripping tap, but eventually that does suck away from your energy, from allowing you to feel rejuvenated and refreshed and be able to come back and show up in the world fully expressing your purpose, your joy, your art, your craft, your relationship and connection, and your who you are meant to be in the world. So then when I look at body side of things, I look at food, I look at clothing, like pantry things, whether or not the food is a reflection of what I would like I could do better in that area, and in terms of cluttering my kitchen. So right now I'm like really focused on the small areas, and again I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking at baby steps all the time. How can I declutter my pantry a little more? How can I add things? Like I bring healthy things in, but no one's really eating it because I can't see it very well. And so then that kind of, you know, like these little steps, you try things, and if it doesn't work, you can tweak it. It doesn't mean it's a sign that you suck and you shouldn't bother. It just means you tweak it a little and you keep focusing on it, keep curating, that's what curating is, right? You're putting something up next to each other and go, that kind of works. Oh, actually, that doesn't work. Let's tweak it. Let's swap it around. Yes. So the body side of things, the physicality side of things, does that help you? Does it help your self-expression? Does it reflect you? Does it hold you back? Sometimes it's just easier to look at what holds you back, what's cluttering it, what is physically making you clench up. That's the word. Done heart, we've done body, let's do mind. Looking the category and perspective of mind. For me, that is thinking, learning. This is your books. Does it reflect you? Does it help you grow? Because if that's your value, to learn more, to grow more, does it reflect your personality and your passions? You know, I know my kids love books, so there's like so many books everywhere, but it also means when it's so cluttered, they don't want to read as much, interestingly enough, and they only like certain ones and they want to reread the same ones over and over. And so then I'm, you know, always keeping that in mind of how can I curate it so that they have easy access, they can read the same ones over and over and over, because she's 2 and that's what she does. And it's a reflection of their age, their personalities, what they're interested in. Mind is also things like I talked about the mouth aspect of all the different senses. It's talking. For me, the talking part. Does the spaces in my home be conducive to encourage connection through chatting? You know, does like my daughter's home, who she's 5, does her room like feel kind of like hers, and does she feel like it's a safe space? So when I enter that space, she knows that it's her space and I'm entering it, you know, as she allows me to enter it, even though it's still my home, we still have rules, but she feels safe there, and she can talk to me about anything that she's kind of, you know, working through emotionally, or trying to understand and learning new ways of being and doing, and like, you know, why does the clouds look like this, or why is there storms, and why does it have to be so loud, right? Like, is it conducive of that? Does my home help her express herself in words, in being able to speak, feel safe, you know? And we've just started putting up magnet letters on our fridge for my 2-year-old, because she's been interested in learning about the ABC song. And so, you know, and we just happened to come across it. I didn't specifically go out to buy it, but like it worked. And then she's really happy that she's able to match a letter to a letter that she decided that she wants to recognize, because I tried teaching it to her and she doesn't. And so it kind of reflects that, you know, these are little things, and I know these are little things, but as I've learned in artwork and in life, that you live each day, day by day, as my artwork or my doodles, if you see my work, it's dot by dot, line by line, these small little things that feel insignificant, but these are the layers that you're building, the tapestry of what creates a life of full self-expression. So that was mind. Look at the books, the learning. What is it to you when you think about the expression of your mind, whether this is your interests, your passions, your learnings? It's I think of it as music as well. Like, I'm not a big music fan, but my husband is, and so, you know, we have like special speakers that I forget to use because I'm not a big music listener, but for him, you know, it connects him back to his body. But for me, it's an intellectual thing, it's a mind thing, because sometimes the music helps sets the mood for me to be able to do the work, or I listen to focused music and that helps me do the work. And so having a space that allows that reminds me to actually do that, and is conducive for that, that's what you're doing. You're being intentional about crafting and creating a space that allows that. I hope that makes it clear. So mind, and lastly soul, right? We've done heart, body, mind, soul. And soul for me is about intuition. It's about spirituality. If we're looking at the senses, it might actually be eyes and ears. So like for my husband, music is a big thing. It connects him back to his body and dancing and play, but also he loves his kind of music, which is like a psych trance kind of music, which has no words and I don't understand it. For me, I need songs that has lyrics, because words itself have meaning for me, which is why it's a mind thing. For him, it might be more of a soul thing. It's a connection beyond the words. And so for me, that's an eyes sense. It's visual, it's art. It's probably for a lot of my collectors, and you're probably one of them, where your spaces, the things that you look at, more than just the memories, which I feel like is a heart thing, like photos and stuff, but like artwork. It's the drawing that my daughter did, but it reminds me of, you know, those are memory stuff. But like paintings, I've got artwork from artists from when back in the day when I had no money, before I was working and I was just a poor uni student. I still collected art within my budget range that connected me back to my creativity and to my dream of being an artist. And also like certain ones as portraits that feel soulful and they look like they're self-reflection, and it really connects me back to my values and my spiritual practice of self-reflection and connection with spiritual divine. And that's what my art is all about. It's more than just being pretty and to match the couch or to match the walls or whatever it is. It is about that spiritual intuitive connection and being intentional about the things that you bring in, and you are allowed to do that. So having the, you know, beautiful artwork, beautiful design lamp, it's more than just a lamp that lights up the room. It is crafted, it has a history, it's also an intuitive connection to bringing more light into your life, whatever that is. Looking at that soul expression, what is that for you? It might look like your spiritual practice. Is it like tarot cards? Is it having a wall of different artworks that you found through your travels, and that's both memories but also a soul connection, because you and your soul and heart is a traveler, is about connection to other cultures and growing and expanding your perspective of the world. And so yeah, those are the 4 perspectives, right? I've gone on and on. Hey, lovely. Hi, Carrie. I've covered the 4 things, the 4 perspectives to look at to make sure that your space is intentional and really a space of that reflects and expresses you, your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul, and the people who live in it. Yes, well, kind of. You can always watch the replay, but I'm going to leave with these questions, which, I mean, they will be helpful because I believe they always are. But then if you need more clarity in terms of the different 4 categories that I went through and how to look at them, you can definitely watch the replay. Hopefully this video hasn't been too long. So these are the questions to ask yourself after you've looked at the 4 categories, right? Really, it's just the heart, body, mind, soul. For me, it's looking at it holistically in your space to make it a home. Home is more than just where your heart is, it's also where your mind, soul, body is. And does your space reflect that? Looking around all the different rooms. And then the other way I was saying to look at it is looking at your senses, your 6 senses, and whether or not it expresses that. It's more than just your heart and your memories. It's also your mind and your learning and your personal development, growth and intellectual conversations and being able to chat with people. It's about your soul connection, your spiritual connection. It's about which one have I done? I've done heart. Have I done heart, memories, mind, talking, soul, and body. Body is like your clothes and your touch and the feel of things, you know, and whether or not it reflects you. And I think, and Kerry, you would know, we talked about this, where sometimes the intuition sense or like the touch sense, where you just, you know something, you love it, it has a memory, it does express your heart and your memories and what you value, but you also intuitively know that you need to let it go so that you can move on to the next chapter of who you are meant to be in your personal development, in your spiritual growth. And so then that's when you need to let it go. So decluttering is more than just clearing, it's also about making sure that your space is curated and intentional and consciously crafted and created to be a space of full self-expression, whatever that looks like. And it's an ongoing process. There is no destination for that, because as you grow and evolve, because hopefully you are, if you're a muse and you're hanging out with me, we always are. And because if you have children like me, they're constantly growing, so that's always evolving and changing. And so then it becomes a practice. It's kind of both frustrating, but at the same time, so much freedom and flexibility in that. It means that you're constantly tweaking. It means there's no like done. So if you feel like you're behind or like you're like already missed the mark, you can't, because it's an ongoing practice. Let me get to the questions, because I need to get to painting, because the light, I can see the light is going down and I need to get to painting. All right, so looking at those 4 categories, looking at your 6 senses, which I've already covered, check out the replay. Yes, question is, these are good questions to ask yourself as you're like looking around all the spaces. Does it feel like me? Which is a huge question, which is why I gave you those categories and the senses. Does it feel like me when you're like, or feel like us, whoever's living in your home, right? When someone enters that space, can they say, your friends, family, people who know you, it feels like you. It feels like your family. It, you know, this is why in business you like branding, right? But like, does it feel like you? What does that mean? Another way to look at it, does it look like me? I am personally a very colorful person. I come from a family who loves color. We're not scared of it. My home is full of color. We just can't help it. Like, we painted this wall blue and it's dark because I like that kind of moody feeling. Both me and my husband really love that. And I mean, I wanted like a dark purple aubergine color, but it was going to be a bit too girly for my husband. And so the blue was totally fine because I'm happy with blue. While other places are very white, it was very clear it had to be white because I knew I was going to have lots of artwork up. And so visually, I know it looks and feels like us. We're also very busy and very full. And I always talk about my life being very full and filled, but then it feels fulfilling, right? That's just my way of excusing all the clutter that's in my home. But yes, and red is a neutral, right? Yeah, I grew up where red is a neutral color, meaning that it goes with almost anything. And if you know how to do it and you're confident enough to wear it and to use it. So if I've ever walked you through, I can go, but there's not enough light there. But like when you first enter my home, the first wall color that you see is this kind of raspberry red color. It's not quite orangey red and it's not quite pinky, but it's kind of this beautiful raspberry red color, and mainly because the curtains in our living room was pink, like a dusty pink from the previous owners, and we just never changed it because we're gonna like renovate this whole entire house and gut it out. And so I've always just kept with it, and I was never a big fan of the dusty pink, but because once we put those feature wall colors in, it's like, oh, everything feels more intentional and it matches and it kind of flows. And it turns out, you know, my brand color is pink, my daughter's favorite color is pink, and my youngest, she likes all colors. She doesn't really have a preference. She's 2. You'll be surprised though, although right now she's really into yellow, mainly because that's what I've bought her, and she really likes it. She looks good at it. So that question, coming back to does it look like you, us? Does it feel like us? Does it sound and smell like us? You know, is it a space that you want to hang out with? If you're finding that you're always traveling out because you don't want to be at home because it feels too cluttered, that's probably a good sign. Or you just rather be hanging out at your friend's house or at the park or whatever, but because you're intentional about that, does it feel like that? Does it have that outdoor element in it? Does it, you know, does it have the music that's what you would sound like, right? On the weekends when my husband's home with the kids and they're playing more, there's always music happening because that's just what it would sound like. And along with the sound is the smell like I want to do a lot more of that because I want my children to grow up with these memories of home that smells a certain way. Because I know when I enter my mother-in-law's home, right, it smells a certain way because she's always cooking, and that evokes certain memories for my husband too. And so I want to do that for my children. Even though I'm not much of a cook, I do know that one of the ways that we connect and play together is like making cookies, because it's like the simplest recipe. Because I suck at cooking, it's not my thing. I like playing with it creatively because I have no pressure about it being perfect, because it ain't gonna be. But that's when we can, my daughter and I, my 5-year-old and I can chat, and we can and I can let her try more adult things. You know, the other day she helped me make pancakes and actually flipped the pancake in the frying pan, which was internally freaking me out about the fire thing. But those are the memories I hope she has, where she kind of expands her comfort levels a little, because she was scared of the fire thing and she slightly burnt her finger, so she learnt about heat. And those smells of that maple syrup and the batter from the pancake, I'm hoping that will evoke those memories of connection. It was like a rare time while my younger one was still kind of sleeping in a little, because she hasn't been sleeping through the night, right? You know, like a one-on-one time with mummy, like that smell and that intentionality. It's a small thing, I know, and that's what I hope you leave away with. Small things that may feel insignificant, as I've said before, these are the little layers that you're building the tapestry of the masterpiece that's gonna be your life. And I hope that you would do it with intentionality, consciously and mindfully create it to look, feel, smell, sound, touch, intuitively feel like a full expression of you. Was that helpful? Well, those categories are inspired way for you to look at your space. I hope that my intention is to empower you to take one small step today, because then that will help you take another small step the next day and the next day after that. And this is when you look back a week from now, a month from now, 10 years from now, and see how those little tiny baby steps helped bring you to this amazing space that you are today. And last question. Go back and watch. Yes, watch it. Carrie. And the last question, right? Does it feel like you? Does it look like you? Does it sound and smell like you? The last one is always, does it make me feel like what I want to feel? Because sometimes it's not just a reflection of your self-expression currently. I know I'm always growing and who I'm trying to be, and to be the best mother, artist, sister, wife, daughter, friend, mentor, you know, I want to be, that I'm meant to be. Does it help me feel like that? Does it help me think and remember and inspire and feel motivated? These are the values and the core desired feelings that I want to have, to feel inspired, to feel empowered, to feel fulfilled, to feel that joyful purpose. Does my space reflect and express and help me feel the way I want to feel? I will leave you with those questions. Answer them. Let me know. Comment them in the comments below, because I know that your answers and your insight and your just questions even will help others who are watching this, to encourage them, to inspire them, to empower them to take the next baby step today. All right, I'm gonna go off, do more painting, and do more training actually. And just remember, you are Muse, you are creative. You can dare to take those big dreams, however little they may feel to you, whether it is planting a rose garden or helping get rid of poverty in the world. You can dare to take those big dreams seriously and take the next baby step today, and look at your space as an anchor and a source and a safe container for you to fully express that. Let me know. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, and Let me know what you think and how your space goes. Bye!